welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason, and today I'll be customising this BMW Z1 model, I believe made by Summer for the Marz Karz series. It's definitely unlicensed, but it's clear what it is meant to be. Bizarrely, it's the only 1/64 or Matchbox or Hot Wheels size version of a Z1 as far as I know. I wonder why that is. There's plenty of models of its successor, the Z3 out there, but no more of these. It's a really interesting, quirky car, so I struggled to see why not. It was first envisaged back in 1985. BMW Technik was established that year to develop concepts for new vehicles and technologies. By August of 1985, the BMW board had given their approval to further develop BMW Technik's first concept vehicle, the Z1. The lead designer for the project was Harm Lahai, who had just moved from Ford in Cologne working as their chief of design. The director of BMW Technik was Ulrich Bess, who oversaw the early stages of the Z1's development. A road-going prototype was produced in 1986, and BMW then publicly revealed the project. The most unique feature of its design was its door design. The doors retract vertically into the sills, instead of a more traditional outward or upward swing motion. Crash protection was offered by its high sills, and it was entirely possible to drive the Z1 with its doors lowered. The windows can be operated independently of the doors, though they do retract automatically if the door is lowered. It wasn't the first production car to offer retractable doors though. The first and only other was the 1954 Kaiser Darren, though its door slid forwards into the fenders and not downward into the sills. The Z1 also offered removable plastic body panels. The side panels and doors were made of Xenoid thermoplastic, and the bonnet, boot and roof cover were fiberglass. Cars were painted in a special flexible lacquer finish. Aerodynamics were of prominent focus in the Z1's design. A flat undertray was used for ground effect aerodynamics, and the rear bumper formed a diffuser to reduce rear lift. The front end generated a high pressure zone forward of the front wheels to increase traction. Other innovations included a roll hoop integrated into the windscreen surround and continuously zinc welded seams. In August 1987, 2 years after its first approval, BMW announced that the Z1 would enter production. A production version was unveiled to the public the following month at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Full production commenced in October 1988. It would be BMW's first two-seat convertible since the 507 left production in 1959. The Z1 was offered with a single drivetrain configuration, a 2.5 litre M20 straight-six teamed to a 5-speed manual transmission borrowed from the E30 325i. It produced 168 horsepower. The engine was mounted behind the front axle for improved weight distribution, tilted 20 degrees to the right in order to accommodate its low bonnet line. The Z1's rear suspension, dubbed the Z-axle, was specially developed for the car, becoming one of the first BMWs to feature a multi-link suspension design. The front suspension was also taken from the 325i. Its 15-inch 7-spoke wheels were unique to the car, which I had trouble in finding anything that looked remotely similar to for this project. That meant I had to adapt any 7 spokes I could get my hands on, hence why I ended up with Escort RS rims. The Z1 was available for sale from March 1989. It was originally intended to be priced at 80,000 Deutschmarks, equivalent to €80,800 or $92,600 today. However, by the time it reached sale, its base price was 3,000 marks more than that, €3,030 or $3,400. All Z1s were built in left-hand drive in BMW's Munich plant. It was available with 6 exterior colours: red, the most common colour, black, green or light fun yellow. 2 colours titled Swimming Pool Blue and Oh So Orange were reserved for Ulrich Betz and Harm Lahai. 4 interior colours were available, the most common being dark grey, while red was the rarest choice, appearing on just 38 examples. 6,177 of the 8,000 Z1s built were red, so that made my colour choice today quite simple. Just 133 were fun yellow. Initial demand for the car was strong. 3,500 orders were received before production had even started. However, this tailed off significantly in 1988. BMW was reportedly able to produce only 10 to 20 Z1s per day. More than half of all cars built were produced for the 1990 model year. The majority of cars, 6,443, were sold in the domestic market. Italy, the country receiving the second most Z1s, received 7% of all cars manufactured. BMW ended the production of the Z1 in June 1991, following the decline in demand. Its successor, the Z3, would not enter production for another 4 years. It was a very short-lived experiment from BMW, but it did pave the way for their now very successful Z series. It had been rumoured that the Z in Z1 stood for Zukunft, German for future. In reality, it was named after the Technik department's 2-digit code ZT, with cars also receiving a 2-digit code beginning with a Z. It was named Z1 purely because it was the first project within the Technik department. A design study for a coupe version was undertaken, but this never came to fruition. A similar design would later appear on the Z3 with the coupe or clown shoe. Now here's what I can tell you about the model. So here are the Chinese-made Summer Marz Karz parts ready to be put back together again. I'm going to put out a plea to you to provide any info you might have on the model in the comments, as it is really limited online. It's not the best replica, but seeing as it appears to be the only one available at this scale, beggars can't be choosers. And with that, we're about ready for the grand reveal. This was how the Summer Marz Karz BMW Z1 looked earlier. The windscreen surround had been bent almost completely flat. The transparency had been squashed with it, but thankfully it was intact. In removing the plastic base, the grille section split to the front rivet post. I needed to fix that along with the windscreen surround, plus make the most of the model's details to transform it into something more realistic looking, something like this. Now in a less jarring colour combination, this model has also seen a significant makeover in the windscreen surround, now sitting at the correct angle. The wheels are far from perfect, but these were the closest that I could get with a few hand-drawn amendments. Inside, I've simply repainted the basic white interior matte black and picked out a couple of small details. The actual casting quality is really quite good for what would have been a low-cost toy once upon a time. I'm particularly impressed by the headlight glass incorporated into the windscreen piece. The wheel arches were too large for the original wheels, so if I do ever pick up any more appropriate looking wheels, I'll be sure to fit a slightly larger size wheel and tyre combo. Let me know what you think of this model down in the comments, and leave a like if this build entertained you. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.